All right, what's going on, Titan Nation? We're going to get ready to get started in just a bit. We're going to be talking offensive line as we are less than 24 hours away from the NFL draft. Thank y'all for sticking with me while I was a little late. I'm here in Tampa, Florida, so I'm getting some time in with the fam and everything, but still got to bring a great show to you. So make sure y'all share this show out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also from YouTube as well. So I know some of you might be a little late seeing this, but definitely make sure y'all share the show out, and we will get ready to start in 30 seconds. Good evening, Titan Nation. How is everybody good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing? Welcome in to TNT tonight. As y'all can see, I am not live from the man cave. I am live from Tampa, Florida. I'm here getting ready for the NFL draft while spending time with family. So I am here in Brandon, Florida, not Tampa, Florida, but very much close enough here in Tampa Bay, as some people have liked to call it, home of the Buccaneers and also home of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I'm here and everything. I know there's a lot of people out there in Vegas right now getting ready for the NFL draft. I too will be getting ready for the draft as well. I will be definitely watching and bringing to you coverage of the NFL draft as it happens. And again, I'm going to let y'all know whether it's going to be just a live recap of the draft or if it's going to be just a post game talking about what happened in the draft. I will let y'all know definitely tomorrow, but I expect it to be full coverage of the draft as normal. So definitely get ready for that. I'm definitely excited to bring that to you while I'm here in Florida with family, visiting with the people. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. Make sure y'all share this show out at the bottom, of course, on Instagram at Titans_in_truth. Also on Twitter at TNT Blue Enforcer. And on Facebook, either on the Titans in Truth official page or the TNT Enforcers fan page as well. So make sure y'all share that show out. Definitely want to get a bunch of likes on this as we talk about the NFL draft and we talk offensive linemen. But some other news that came out before we do get going on that is that the Tennessee Titans went ahead and, as I expected them to do, have picked up the fifth-year option on Big Jeffrey Simmons. That was pretty much a no-brainer, given everything that he's done. He's done a great job, definitely coming from injury and everything with that. So that was a no-brainer. That was absolutely a no-brainer. And so now you got essentially 2 years with Big Jeff before you have to re-sign him. So you got this year and next season coming up. So instead of trying to pay Big Jeff now, you could try to, get his contract taken care of next season before that fifth year. He's going to get some major money. And, you're hearing about AJ wanting more than $20 million. Big Jeff is probably going to command that amount and then some as well, because he is truly a he's a game wrecker, plain and simple, a game wrecker. So definitely glad to have Big Jeff in the fold. With everything that's been going on, so glad to have him back in the fold. And while I'm at it, and as we keep talking about things, if you want some TNT swag, like I have on right now, you have the navy blue shirt. You also have the Carolina the powder blue shirts. You can definitely contact me on any of the pages on the ticker at the bottom, or Miss Latoya Akinyemi. I know she's been kind of going through some things. Some personal matters. But if you want some TNT swag, definitely get with me or Miss Latoya. Whether you can get with me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or you can get with her. Her email is queenbutterflytees@gmail.com, or on Instagram at queenbutterflytees. Let her know Chris of Titans and Truth sent you. If you want one of the Titans and Truth hats, I'm going to start getting some more of those. Definitely hit me up or at Out the Crib Customs. That's at out_the_crib_customs on Instagram to get those hats. And you got the red hat that you see on the graphic, or the blue hat that you see me wearing all the time that I will be wearing for tomorrow's coverage. So definitely get that. Or you could just email me at canewell817@gmail.com. And in the subject, just put Titans and Truth shirt or Titans and Truth hat, and I can definitely get with the people as far as if you want some swag, you want some gear, I can definitely help you out with that. But Big Jeff's fifth-year option being picked up, I think, is a great thing. It is necessary for to keep this defense intact, keep this defense together, and it was a no-brainer, a absolute no-brainer to bring Big Jeff into the fold. So definitely glad to have him back. Definitely have him for at least another 2 years. Again, there is work with A.J. Brown. Obviously, there's been some reporting out. I believe it was from Tom Pauline. I probably got this incorrect, and if I do, y'all can call me out on it. But, right now, A.J. Brown's not going anywhere. He's going to pretty much be a Titan. He's not going anywhere, and they're going to look to get him re-signed, probably more so closer to camp than anything else. So, having AJ in the fold going forward at some point will be major, and I would definitely be very happy once all of that is over. Again, AJ has been a vital part of this team for a very long time. Despite the injuries and despite everything that's been happening, AJ has, put up two 1,000-yard seasons, had 860 yards this past year, would have had another 1,000-yard season had it not been for injury. But again, he did what he had to do. Despite the fact that he didn't have a quarterback that would throw him the ball more than we needed to. But that's also philosophy because we had Derrick Henry. So, that's something that we're definitely going to have to talk about in the future is it time for this offense to make a change? Is it time for this offense to kind of go away from the run-first mentality? And that's something that, has definitely got to be at least discussed at some point. So that's what I would think about that as far as I'm concerned. Make sure you hit that smash button, smash that like button. Also hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And make sure you hit that bell so that way you know of all the Titans and Truth coverage that's going to be coming your way, like the draft. And so that's something that's going to be coming your way. Definitely looking forward to having some fun with everybody for the NFL draft. But let's get to what we're here to talk about, and that is the offensive line. And in previewing this, I'm not just looking at one specific position on the offensive line. I'm looking at the offensive line as a whole and what the Tennessee Titans can do in this draft to address that position and make sure that the to make sure that we get this offensive line fixed, because as Jack Gentry has said, well, I'm sorry, it wasn't him. It was I cannot remember what show it was, but they basically said Tannehill not getting sacked is sexy. And I would definitely agree. The less Tannehill gets sacked, the better it is for everybody. And even though Tannehill, I think, sucks, they claim they're going to try to help him, that they're going to try to, get better around him. Offensive line is definitely a way to do that. So let's get into these offensive linemen in particular. And I have my top 5 offensive linemen that I think the Titans could really go after. I have some potential dark horses, some guys that maybe not in the first round, but somebody they could get later. And I have a little bit of a surprise and explanation for a dark horse as well as one of my top 5. And then I got a couple of sleepers as well. So we're going to definitely get into all of that. But before we do, I know tax season is over, but if you need help, with making sure that your taxes have been taken care of and everything, and making sure you have your refunds, definitely hit up Continental Source Tax Consultants. You could definitely get with them. With Allison and Miss Carmen, Miss Allison Conley and Miss Carmen. They are very good at what they do as far as taking care of you, making sure that your taxes are well taken care of. I mean, if you haven't filed your taxes, you might want to go ahead. You're probably going to have to suffer a small penalty for being late, but you can still get your taxes done and you don't have any issues. So if you want to have any questions about that, definitely give Ms. Allison a call at 901-654-8435 and let her know that Chris of Titans and Truth sent you in that direction so that you can get your taxes well taken care of. And meanwhile, back definitely on Titans and Truth. We're going to be talking about these offensive linemen. So I am definitely going to go from 1 to 5 on this one. And so we're going to start off with my top offensive lineman, and that is Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. And he is the 6'7", 332-pound tackle. I watched a couple of his games against North Dakota State and against Iowa State. And so this is some of the things that I came up with as I took a look at him. One of the first things I noticed as a pro, he is absolutely nasty. He plays nasty, aggressive with great effort, and he's just looking to punish anybody on the other side. He is looking to not just engage and block you, but take you to the ground, wrestle you down, and just humiliate you. He doesn't just play to the whistle, he plays through the whistle. He definitely has some very good feet as well, which helps him in good run blocking. As a good run blocker, and he's a pretty decent pass blocker as well. And he has some very good length and size. 322 pounds for an offensive lineman is pretty good. And having 34-inch arms also is very good as well. Some cons to his game. That nastiness, that aggressiveness that we talked about, it can end up getting them in some trouble, causing a few penalties. And sometimes when you're wrestling a guy, trying to get him down to the ground, you're probably going to end up getting called for holding at some point. Maybe not all the time, but some of the time, you're probably going to get called for holding. That has been an issue for him, and that may not, help at the next level. So he's going to have to learn how to play under control and make sure not to hold so that he doesn't get called for that. He did play at Northern Iowa, so he played against some low-level competition. And so, this is going to be a major step up in competition, even though he tested very well at the Senior Bowl and the Combine. Now, some things that he may end up struggling when I said low-level competition, in the tape against North Dakota State, he was mauling North Dakota State in blocking. Just his nastiness showed. But against Iowa State, he tended to struggle a little bit because it's an upper level of competition, and there are some better pass rushers for Iowa State than there are for North Dakota State. So he tended to have a little bit of trouble dealing with some of those better pass rushers. So that's something I think with coaching he could definitely get better at, and he would definitely be able to continue to grow as a offensive lineman. Number 2 on my list is Kenyon Green from Texas A&M. 6'4", 324 pounds. He could play guard and tackle. And I watched a couple of games of him against, whether it was against Alabama or against LSU. And the things I noticed with that is he's extremely versatile for his size. And that's what I noticed. Against Alabama, I watched him play left tackle and did pretty well in that game. And then against LSU, he was playing guard. So one thing about him, he is very versatile, can play 4 of the 5 spots on the offensive line. The only spot he did not play was center. So he, could play guard on either side. He could play tackle on either side. I think he's better off as a guard than a tackle. But, one thing about him, he is a baller. He moves people very, very well in the zone blocking scheme. Has great strength and length as well. 33-inch arms on that. Now, on the bad side, something that he's going to have to definitely work on is his technique in pass blocking. His technique is definitely going to be something that he's going to have to work on. Maybe he could struggle getting to the next level as far as double teams. He can get there if he knows that he's already going to the next level. But if you're helping somebody block and double, and then you got to get off and move to the linebacker, sometimes he could end up struggling a little bit with that. But it's really not a lot of cons to his game. There's really not a lot of weakness to his game. He's very fluid. He's very athletic. He can move very well and things like that. And, a lot of people think that, even though, he will be a very good guard, some people think he could still be a very good tackle as well if you needed to. So that versatility could definitely be a help to a team like the Tennessee Titans. The third guy on my list is somebody that I think the Titans really do like, and that is Zion Johnson from Boston College. I know Coach Vrabel knows Zion Johnson pretty well because he is roommates with Mike Vrabel's son, Tyler Vrabel, who also is a prospect at tackle, who played left tackle right next to Zion Johnson for Boston College. 6'3", 315 pounds, can play guard. Also could slide into center. So, he could be the guard now. He could end up being the center of the future, possibly, because we know Ben Jones is probably within this year or next year is going to be gone at some point, either after this season or after next season. What I like about Zion Johnson, again, he's versatile. Could play both guard and center. Definitely good in both the run block and pass blocking situation. Definitely could get to the next level well and has good pad level. Now, the cons to his game, he maybe relies a little bit too much on his length or in his length and trying to, always put a hand on a guy and thinks that, that one hand could do the trick when you really got to engage a little bit more. So that's something that he may have to make sure to work on. And sometimes he tends to play a little bit high. Instead of coming off low, he may be playing high. And if you stand up like that, a defender can beat you that way. So that's something that he has to work on just a little bit. But some of these things are very extremely coachable. Definitely seems like a mature young man. I believe I caught him on an OTP podcast with Mike Keith. And I mean, a absolute pleasure to listen to as far as I'm concerned with his maturity. So I like Zion Johnson quite a bit as a guard or a center. Number 4 is another tackle that I could be somewhat impressed with, but still has a little thing to work on, and that's Bernard Raymond of Central Michigan, 6'7", 304 pounds, played left tackle for the Chippewas. So if he gets drafted by the Titans, he's going to start on the right side. And, I mean, Jack Conklin had to do the same thing. One thing about him, extremely athletic. He was a former tight end and who transitioned to tackle. And he has a very good rugged, rough style to his game because he used to play rugby in Austria. So he's, he could be an Austrian nightmare if he does things right. And he has some very good hand placement when he's engaging with a defender. However, he can end up struggling against power rushers. Some power rushers tend to, get under him and get him, which will lead to getting knocked off balance, which means he does not have the best anchor point there is with his feet. And so, if you go up against a power rusher that just comes straight bull rushing, he's not ready for it. That could back him up tremendously, or he just gets knocked on his butt, and that won't do anybody any good. And a couple of games that I watched with him was against Missouri and also against LSU. So there's a lot of upside to Bernard Raymond, and that is a good thing. But, he's definitely going to have to make sure he has good balance and a good anchor as far as making sure he's going to be able to hold off on that left side, because that's the quarterback's blind spot. And you got to protect the blind side. So Bernard Raymond, I think, is a pretty good acquisition. I mean, a pretty good player. Like Zion Kenyon and Trevor Penning, I could see going in the first round. I think Bernard Raymond goes somewhere in the second round, to be honest. And then my last top 5 player, I was very surprised about this. I wasn't thinking I was going to put him on this list, but I thought after watching this tape, I came away impressed. And that is Daniel Falele from Minnesota. I know I've heard TD, Teron Davenport, talk about him quite often. And at 6'8", 330 pounds, I mean, he is a mountain of a man. If some of you are familiar with Game of Thrones, you've heard of, the two brothers who fought, who never saw eye to eye, but both are killer warriors. One was known as the Hound. The other was known as the Mountain. And that's the thing about him. Huge size and length. He's pretty good in pass protection, very good feet. And once he gets his hands on you, it's over. He wins. He has a very good anchor point with his footwork. But some cons to him is he does need to get a little bit better in the run game as far as being more of a road grader, more of a mauler. Sustaining blocks could be a little bit of an issue, especially if the quarterback has to hold the ball a little bit longer. He sometimes struggles to get to the second level. So if he's helping a guard double, sometimes he does tend to struggle getting to the next level where he may end up just missing that block altogether. And he has tended to struggle with very fast speed rushers. That is something that he's had a little bit of trouble with. And one thing he's going to have to definitely work on is getting his hands on any pass rusher before they could even get started. And so I ended up watching a couple of games against Maryland and Ohio State. And again, I came away very, very impressed with Daniel Falele. I did not think I was going to be impressed with him because I know he did not have a very good showing at the combine. But again, as a lot of people would say, you got to look at the game film. And I looked at the game film and I came away very much impressed. So I think he's a guy that could, and he played right tackle pretty much the whole time. So I think he could come in, still learn, but, gain that experience as well. And then, of course, if you draft Falele, you're probably pushing Dylan Radunz inside to guard as well. So I definitely like Daniel Falele very much so. A couple of dark horses, some dark horses that I think could be somebody the Titans pay attention to. Now, here's what I got to say about this. I know a lot of people will probably think, why is Tyler Lindenbaum not in my top 5? Originally, Tyler Lindenbaum was in my top 5. The only thing about Tyler Lindenbaum, number one, aside from the fact he's 6'3", 291, is the fact that you already re-signed Ben Jones. You've already re-signed him to a 2-year, $14 million deal with $8 million guaranteed. So that's why I don't have Lindenbaum in my top 5, because they just re-signed Ben Jones. And you don't want to put a first-round pick on a guy that's not going to play right now. You need a guy that's going to play. The next one is, of course, Tyler Smith from Tulsa. I've been hearing, he could sneak into the first round. He played tackle at Tulsa, but I think a lot of experts see him as a guard, 6'5", 324. But, I wasn't sold on Tyler Smith being a potential Titan. I mean, he's going to need a lot of work. He will definitely need a lot of work, more than the other guys that were listed. Number 3, Darren Kennard from Kentucky, 6'5", 322, can play both guard and tackle if you need him to do so, but definitely fits more as a tackle very much. Number 4, Dylan Parham from the University of Memphis. I've gotten to watch this cat play quite a bit, and definitely leaves you impressed because he had some good running backs that he had to create lanes for and things like that. And at a Memphis game, you never really heard about Parham giving up sacks or anything like that. So Dylan Parham could end up being a steal in his draft, although he's only 6'3", 285, a little undersized for an offensive lineman, but he still has great power. And then last but not least is Kellen Dersch from Arizona State, 6'7", 301 pounds, and his name just kept coming up at mock drafts whenever I would do something. His name will always keep popping up, and, checking him out. He could be a guy, could still use some development, but he could be a guy that at some point steps in at right tackle and be ready to go. So I definitely like Kellen Dersch as well as a potential dark horse. And then last but not least, a few sleepers that I have right here. And before I go into those sleepers, I want to tell you about my friend Cody Milhoyne at First Class Real Estate Advisors. And What I can tell you is he's a Titans fan. He's huge on integrity, and that is what he's built his real estate business on. So many other agents only care about making a sale. But Cody will offer you many options and discuss the pros and cons for every option. He understands whether you're buying or selling a $10,000 trailer or a $20 million mansion. Cody understands real estate investment is likely to be the biggest investment of your life. If you live in Tennessee or anywhere between the Carolinas and California, you can give Cody a call. Number at the bottom, 731-798-8505. Or you can call him at his office at 731-207-8060. Or you can also email him at codym@firstclassre.com. And that's again Cody, that's CODY, and the letter M at first class. That's the number one ST class RE for real estate.com. Cody M at firstclassre.com. And so Titans of Truth continuing on TNT tonight as we talk about a few sleepers in this draft that could garner some potential for the Titans later in the draft. One is somebody I was impressed with at the Combine, Zach Tom, who can play different positions all over the field as well, very versatile. Nicholas Petit Frere of Ohio State. I know the Titans have had a meeting with him. A couple of local guys, Cole Strange of UT Chat and Cade Mays of Tennessee. Definitely a couple of guys you can keep your eye on as this draft progresses. And a couple of other guys I like, Matt Waletzko from Central Michigan, as well as Marquise Hayes, the guard out of Oklahoma. Could definitely be an interesting pickup if the Titans decide to go that route later in the draft with that. So those are a couple of my those are some of my sleepers that I think the Titans could go after later in the year. Could go after later in the draft, excuse me. So definitely very impressed with this draft class of offensive linemen, and they could be very, very good in due time. Give me just a moment. I will be right back after a quick commercial. All right, we're back live here on Titans and Truth. Thank y'all for sticking with me with that. I had to make sure I plugged in and keep my power going so that we can keep this show going on. But definitely, I like this draft class of offensive line, and I think this is where the Titans definitely need to pay some attention to is definitely the offensive line. I know I've heard some rumors that the Titans are very high on Trevor Penning. I know they're definitely pretty high also on Kenyon Green as well. So that is something that we're definitely going to have to pay some attention to as the draft unfolds. Again, we are less than 24 hours away from the NFL draft. I have no idea which way the Titans are going to go. And this is going to be very fun to watch. And speaking of which, this is why I get to unveil my final two mock drafts. I get to unveil my final two mock drafts that I have put together. And I did one off of Pro Football Focus mock draft, and the other I did off of the Draft Network. And so I am putting those up as we speak. And we're definitely going to talk about this as far as what the Titans possibly could do in this draft. And so, first off, I'm going to put up my draft from the Draft Network. And so, you know, I like where I went with this. The first pick that I have is Treylon Burks from Arkansas. I definitely really like this pick. I did in fact make a couple of trades in this draft, but I was able to get Burks at 26. In the first round, I was able to get a second round pick. I gave up a third round pick and one of my fourths. Moved up to 58, got our pick back, our original second round pick, and got Trey McBride, the tight end from Colorado State. And so then I didn't get to pick again until the fourth round, but I was able to get Luke Gadecki, offensive tackle from North Dakota State. And then I made another trade, went and got a defensive lineman, Haskell Garrett, I believe, from Ohio State at 154. And then at 195, I went receiver again. I got Jalen Naylor, the wide receiver from Michigan State. And then was able to get a couple of seventh-round picks. Got another sixth-round pick, Sincere McCormick, the running back from Texas San Antonio. And then I was able to get one more seventh-round pick, and I got Alex Wright, the edge rusher from UAB. And so let me know what y'all think of that first. Let me know what y'all think from this particular mock draft that I did with Treylon Burks, Trey McBride, I got in the first two rounds, and then I got offensive line and another receiver later, and obviously a backup running back as well. And then the mock draft from PFF. And this one was pretty interesting because I tried not to do any trades, but I did do one late in the draft. So at 26, I got Zion Johnson, the guard out of Boston College. And then in the third round at pick 90, I went with wide receiver Romeo Dubes from Nevada, the speedster. That was the top target for Carson Strong. Then in the fourth round, I got tackle Kellen Dursk from Arizona State, who I've mentioned before. And then at 143, I went ahead and drafted Chig Okonkwo, the tight end from Maryland. And then in the fifth round, I was able to get Joshua Izudu from North Carolina at guard. So you can have some flexibility there and get you some depth on the offensive line. In the sixth round, I decided to go corner, and I went with an unknown, a guy that was kind of still on the board, was really high around the fourth or fifth round. He was still on the board in the sixth round. Joshua Williams, a 6'3" corner from Fayetteville State in North Carolina. And then I was able to trade back with the Commanders and get a couple of seventh-round picks. And I got Jack Sanborn, the linebacker from Wisconsin, to add some depth with Monty Rice, Zach Cunningham, and David Long Jr. And then last at round 7 and at 240, decided to go ahead and draft the quarterback. Brock Purdy from Iowa State was my final pick in that particular draft. So let me know Let me know what y'all think of that draft. And Luke Gadecki is from Central Michigan, not North Dakota State, on my Draft Network draft. So forgive me for that. So let me know what y'all think of my mock draft. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you like these mock drafts. If you hate them, let me know definitely what you think in the comments below. But I'm excited about this draft. We're going to have definite coverage of this draft. I will definitely make sure I give you my reaction of the Titans pick when they pick at 26, or if they decide to trade back or trade out of the first round. I will definitely be right here to react to that with you. And we're definitely going to have a little bit of fun tomorrow night. So I want to just first of all say thank you to everybody who put up with me, even though I am here in Florida. You know, of course, like I said, family time is always fun and things like that. So that's why sometimes the show got backed up a little bit. So thank y'all for sticking with me. And thank y'all for helping me. Make sure I continue to share the show out. I'm close to 1,200 subscribers. And I definitely thank everybody for that. And definitely trying to get over the hump. So y'all help me out. Help me help you. And again, everybody, thank y'all for listening to Titans in Truth. I'm your man, Chris, a.k.a. Blue Enforcer. And I will see y'all for the NFL Draft. Good night, y'all. And let's tighten up, because that's all we know how to do.